Hey y'all, hey. I am Raffinée Wilson and welcome to Too Busy Tuesday on this fourth Tuesday in May. Y'all, we have decided to pivot tonight because I recently just learned that there was an event that happened here in Texas. And so I do want to give a warning. I've included this in the chat as well that we're going to talk about some things that are pretty sensitive that could be triggering connected to violence and firearms. So if you want to log off, please feel free to. Please take care of yourself. We want to ensure that you are doing what's best for you tonight. So I still have my special guest here with me tonight. Her name is Kiva Harper. And I was just telling Kiva, I actually think it's fitting that she's here because she specializes in trauma focused therapy. Kiva just, y'all, she's incredible. She is a thought leader. She is a therapist. She is a speaker. She is an influencer on social media. And so tonight we're going to just take a minute and kind of have some conversation about how we're doing, things that may be helpful for you to take care of yourself. We're going to take a moment just to kind of pause, really, and because this is happening. This is happening in real time in our world. And so, what better way than for us to just take a moment as leaders in this field and be able to kind of speak to some of this stuff? So, we're just going to pause here for a moment and take a moment of silence for the victims and for their families and all those that are impacted by these things. Thank y'all so much for taking that moment with us. Again, we're going to talk about some sensitive topics, so just be forewarned. And if you want to log off or need to log off for you, feel free to. Now, Kiva, will you just say hey to the people and tell
Hey
us?
to the people. Hi,
Yes,
everyone.
hey to the people.
Yeah.
Um, so tell me kind of how are you feeling right now in this moment? And I'll share a little bit about how I'm feeling too
Yeah.
right now in this moment.
Well, I found out about what was going on probably within the last hour, and I'm an empath, so I feel all the feels deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking about those families, the fact that it was an elementary school, not that, any lives are more valuable than others as it relates to age, but how young and innocent these children are, and about these parents, looking for their kids, wondering if their kids were victims. So I feel really heavy right now,
Mm-hmm.
very heavy, very solemn, and my heart just aches. Literally, I physically feel it.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling in the pit of my stomach, chest is tight, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think for me, so I learned about this, what, 35 minutes ago or so, Kiva told me. And I feel like right here in the center of my chest, I can feel like this tension. I also notice like my breathing starts to change just because I try to really be aware of my breath. And my, like, it feels senseless. It feels frustrating. It feels
Yeah.
disappointing. I feel sad. I just feel this like all these different things kind of coming up, and I think that the the question that lingers sometimes for me in spaces like this is like why,
Yeah.
and
The
I don't think
senseless part that you just said.
yeah,
That's it. Yeah. Why?
and I don't
Yeah.
think we get those answers. It just
Mm,
it comes up though,
it
like
does.
for me, and my heart grieves and aches
It does.
for sure.
Yeah. we were talking about what we were originally were going to talk about is I'm too busy to neglect my self care, and one
Mhm.
of the things that you and I were talking about before we got on is with the work that we do in holding space for other people. People. Why don't you share that? What you said about people thinking that we got it all together?
Yeah. I was sharing with Kiva that one of the things I think happens for people in our field is that individuals outside of us think, oh, y'all got it together, or y'all know what to do, or y'all got the
Oh,
coping skills. And I'm like, I do not have any kind of like magic answers, or
yeah,
I struggle in spaces like this,
yeah,
um, because I know there's nothing I'm going to be able to do or say
yeah,
that brings any level of resolve or consolation. Even sometimes it's some of it, like you said, is just holding that space,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And we also talked about both being introverts, and I get really drained just in my average day because I have to be outgoing in the work that I do and in everything that I do, and so having my time alone to recharge is not just important, but it's critical for me. And so on a day like today, I'm going to be extra kind to myself, extra gentle with myself. I
Mm-hmm.
already don't watch the news. I read my news, but I know enough about this for today. And so I'm going to disconnect from the news and just take care of myself.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a great point you make there,
Mm.
to one, know yourself, but then two, to choose to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because it, in a world where we've got, social media and the
Yeah.
phones and regular news outlets, like you can be bombarded with
Yes.
all of the information and getting all of the updates, and maybe even alerts on your phone,
Yeah.
if you're subscribed to news apps and things like that. Like as
Yeah.
things are coming in, you get updates. And one of the things that I choose to do is to limit that, similar
Yeah.
to kind of what you're saying, is like, what, I make a conscious decision that if I'm going to read, I'm going to choose to read. Like,
Yeah.
and so that sometimes means staying off of social media because I
Yeah.
know everyone may be talking about it. And if I'm choosing to limit what I take in, I can't control that if I get on this outlet and potentially get bombarded with, other people posting and like
Yeah.
expressing their concerns or their thoughts about what's going on with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's something that I would encourage those of you that may be watching or listening to think about, is how is ingesting media, whether that's news, social media, impacting me?
Yeah.
And if you need to set that boundary up, like, you can do that. That can be a way to take care of yourself, to prioritize yourself, to not intensify the level of maybe
Yes.
stress or hurt
Yes.
or disappointment, like, because it's there. And I think sometimes, as at least for me, as I read and read and read, it doesn't decrease. It
Yeah.
usually kind of increases the level of intensity of whatever it is that I'm feeling in a moment.
Right. And that the concept of secondary trauma is very relevant here, because even though we're not there and we may not have family or loved ones that were directly affected, just hearing about what happened, just seeing, watching the news and that imagery that we see of the crime scene or whatever they're showing on the news. I know they try to be careful about that, but the news
Mm-hmm.
also sensationalizes things. And so hearing about that secondhand affects us, and I think sometimes we don't realize that. And so that break from it is really important, because it's very easy to sit there in front of the TV and be just transfixed on the news and
Totally.
waiting for more and more details, and before you know it, it's been hours that you've been
Mm-hmm.
sitting there. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's good for our mental health to disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit, maybe just a couple things that come to mind, like the impacts of secondary trauma for
Yeah.
somebody that's watching and that may be like, oh, I didn't really know that that was a thing, or
Yeah.
hadn't heard of that even.
Yeah. It actually really feels the same as what we talked about. You talked about where you were feeling it in your body, same thing. We're it's like vicariously we're feeling these things. The exhaustion, sometimes feeling confused,
Hmm.
shocked, feeling just these physiological symptoms, that
Yeah.
tightening in your chest. I even noticed that I carry a lot of my stress in my shoulders, and I notice my shoulders are even tense right now.
Hmm.
Being confused, questioning things, um, physical arousal, all of those symptoms, the same as if you were directly involved in the trauma, you can have that secondary as well. And so the self care needs to be very similar to what it would be if we were actually involved in the traumatic event.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And talking to someone, sometimes you just have to process feelings. Like you said, I don't have the answers. You're not gonna have a session with me and then leave and everything is great and you don't feel
Absolutely.
anything. That's
Yeah.
not how this works. But, I can sit there with you as you talk about how senseless this is, how this doesn't
Hmm.
make sense, how afraid you are for your own children.
Yeah.
All of that's what we do. And in
Hmm.
order for us to be able to do that tomorrow, we got to take care of ourselves tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's one of those things that, like, I think that, and we talked a little bit about this, like, giving yourself the space to feel whatever it is that you feel is
Yes.
fine. And you phrased it as it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we, put these pressures or expectations on ourselves to, like, okay, well, tomorrow when I wake up, I'm going to feel differently or be better or
Yeah.
something. And it's like, I mean, I'm a whole therapist and I'm not going to wake up tomorrow
Hmm.
feeling better. And,
Yeah.
like, I would imagine that I will have to, like, really be intentional about the things that I do in the morning to
Because this
prepare
is
for
going
my
to
day.
be all over everything tomorrow, even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking, I can't help but to think, this always comes up for me when something tragic like this happens. I have to wonder what is the racial makeup of this
Mm-hmm.
school, because that dictates how the country is going to respond to it and how people are going to respond to it. And
Mm-hmm.
so just coming off of the shooting in Buffalo, which had less media attention than the Oscar slap. It makes me wonder, are these black and brown children? And if so,
Mm-hmm.
are we going to give it one day and then move on? Are we going to address the real issues here, gun violence and
Yeah.
whatever else? I don't know this person's motive, but that's like something that's really bothering me because I don't
Mm-hmm.
know the answer to that. And I'm bracing myself for a response that is, that is affected by systemic racism and what we see in this country every day. Just wondering, okay, what do most of these kids look like? Because that's going to dictate what
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a dread there. Just wondering because
Totally.
their lives aren't any less important, but
Mm-hmm.
we know what happens.
Even as you were saying it, I felt this, like, heat rising in
Yeah,
my chest, just
yeah,
thinking about the fact that, like, that exists and that
hmm
is a real factor that we're
it is
still dealing with in this day
still.
and age. And it, again, it feels, I think if I was attached a feeling to it, sometimes it feels hopeless.
Yeah,
Sometimes it feels like, when will be enough? Like, when are we gonna wake up and do something different or
right,
respond
right,
differently even?
right. Children should be able to go to school and be safe.
I agree.
Elementary, elementary, they should be able to be safe at school.
Hmm. Yeah.
Parents should be able to go to work and not worry that they may not pick their kid up. And as of the last I looked, 14 parents are not able to pick their kids up today. That
Yeah.
disturbs me. And right now, just another thing, you asked me the feelings that you feel in us talking about it. I have been on quite the roller coaster of emotions from, starting out just sad and solemn. And now I'm feeling angry, that this
Mm-hmm.
happened, that these parents are having to deal with this, these siblings are having to deal with this, and anxiety, apprehension about
Mm-hmm.
who these kids were and what the response is going to be when they're identified.
Yeah. One of the things I say often is that our emotions are communicating to us that something is going on. And it's an opportunity for us to listen. And, you know, I think anger makes sense here
Yes.
because what I know to be true about anger is that it's signaling to us that there's some kind of injustice, that
Yeah.
there's some kind of like a need to protect our sense of value. Maybe there's been something that has been unfair. It gives us energy to protect that, to protect
Mhm.
ourselves, to protect our sense of value, to even sometimes fight against those injustices in whatever kind of way or form. And anger is one of those emotions that I think is often dismissed or kind
Yeah.
of encouraged to not feel that for whatever reason.
Especially with
And
women.
yeah, and
Especially
it's
with women.
like it's serving a purpose, it's giving us information. It doesn't mean we have to then act or behave based on that. Like, I don't have to go punch someone in the face because I'm angry. Yet,
Yeah.
I can acknowledge and realize that my anger is just as important, I would say, as my experience of happiness
Of
or
course.
sadness or expectation or worry. Like,
Yes.
it's all giving me some kind of information if I choose to cue in and listen.
Hmm. It is. And we have to listen to our bodies, ourselves, and make adjustments as necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sad that we're here on this
I agree.
day, and it's just so heavy, but I am grateful that you are using this space to provide some education to your listeners. I think that's important.
Yeah. Let's do this before we kind of wrap up. So, let's each share maybe something that either we do personally or something that might be a point of encouragement for people kind of in this space to take care of
Okay.
themselves.
Okay. Well, my plan for tonight, I have the cutest, sweetest, happiest 5-month old in my home.
Mm,
And I'm gonna go love and hug on him and um, kiss his little hands and hold his hand and all of that stuff. Sing to
mhm.
him, and then I'm gonna take a bath, and I'm gonna have a glass of
Yes.
wine, and I'm probably gonna maybe watch something on TV, or maybe even read a book to escape. That is my plan for tonight, so I can be prepared for tomorrow.
That's good.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, since you set up what you're going to do tonight, I think I will do the same. So, not the
Yeah.
same actions, but
Yeah.
set up what I'm going to do tonight. So, I definitely am not going to take in any social. So, I'm going to be off social media for the rest of the day. Um, I just think I need the separation. So, no social media for me tonight. I actually have a meeting going on tonight. So, I will take a minute to kind of check in with people in that space and kind of see where they are and see if we need to end early or if, they want to sit and kind of process through how they're feeling about it. I really kind of want to be open to what they may need in that moment.
Yeah.
I know that's not particularly taking care of me, but I thought I would mention that because
Yeah.
it's going to kind of be a break in my night. And then thereafter, I'm going to color. I actually bought myself
Okay.
a coloring book this weekend, and I am a fan of regular coloring books because I think the adult coloring book lines are way too small and they stress me
Yeah.
out.
I thought that was just me. I'm like, I'm not smart enough to do this.
No, it stresses me out. And so I'm like, I need the kitty cutter coloring book, regular old Cinderella, like Disney,
Yeah.
just
The
basic.
adults are just it's so intricate. Like
That
that is hilarious. I
brings up
really thought I was the
anxiety in
only
me.
one.
Oh my gosh. I just be like, I can't color. This is not relaxing.
I'm not an artist. Like it takes an artist to be able to do this
Yeah.
successfully. Yeah. Give me
So
those old ones.
agreed. So I'm gonna color tonight. I had thought about sometimes what I do is I'll watch an old show, something
Hmm.
that is like I've seen before
Yeah.
because that brings a level of comfort to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But I don't think I want to watch any TV. So I think I may color, and if I get done with that, I may read a book or something
Yeah.
before I go to bed so that I
Yeah.
can kind of like
Something to escape,
rest.
not the
Yeah.
DSM or anything.
And I think I will intentionally do like some breathing exercises tonight because one of the things I know is like even hearing about this kind of stuff, that stuff I find myself like I will dream about it or it'll be in
Yeah.
my sleep. And so,
Yeah.
not that breathing is going to make it not be there, yet I want to make sure that I can like get some restful sleep as much as I
Hmm.
can. And so,
Hmm.
I think that will help me to relax because I, like you, carry some of that stress and tension here, and my shoulders will be like up.
Yeah.
So, I think that'll help me kind of ease
That's
into
good. I
sleep
think that's a
tonight.
good plan. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe we should. Is there a resource? Crisis hotline if people needed to
hmm,
talk?
yeah.
I would,
So,
NAMI, maybe?
NAMI, I don't know their number off
Okay.
top, but I
I'm
can
going to
look
look
it
it
up.
up.
Okay.
I
And then
gotcha. Yeah.
I'll put
That
it
may be a
here.
great place to start. In July, we'll be able to do just dial, I think
Oh,
it's
the new
nine.
one.
In July. I'll put this in the chat. So NAMI has a helpline, 800 number. You can also chat by texting to that if someone is having a difficult time processing all of this and doesn't have a good support system in place. You can utilize
Hmm.
this phone number.
Perfect. And if you guys, I'm gonna, I'll drop it here, and I will also put a banner here so that y'all can see this. So the phone number is the first one, and then the second one is the text line.
Perfect.
There we go. So 800
Perfect.
950 NAMI. So 800 950 NAMI. If you're listening, you can
Mhm.
also text NAMI to 741 741. And I know that's the crisis text line. So you
Mhm.
can text back and forth. They have trained professionals there that are willing to like help and support. And if you are like, you know what, I may need to find me a therapist, like, I encourage that. If you need help finding a therapist, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always willing to help. I may not be able to be your therapist, but I can send you some referrals. um and that I love what Kiva said earlier, and I want to say that again, like, be gentle and be very kind with yourself tonight and in the days and weeks to come, honestly.
Yeah.
And cue in and pay attention to what it is that you need wherever you are, because what you need tonight may be very different than what you need tomorrow.
So
And
true.
that's okay.
True. Notice your body. Trauma is stored in the body. Notice your body. If it's telling you something, listen to it.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
good.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Kiva, for being here tonight with me, for pivoting with me and
Yes.
having this discussion. Thank y'all for watching, those of you that have watched or listened. And we will be back here next week for another Too Busy Tuesday. All right.
Thank
Peace.
you for having me.
Yeah.
Bye bye.